Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer. You know, we love taking these complex, multi-layered situations and breaking them all the way down so you can see exactly what's going on behind the headlines. And today, we are looking at a really fascinating situation unfolding right now in Southeast Asia. On the surface, it looks like this localized border friction between two neighbors, Thailand and Cambodia. But as we're going to see through the data and the analysis, there's actually a much bigger game being played here.
Right, so it's the ultimate question, isn't it? How does a localized border dispute suddenly drag in the world's biggest superpowers? Well, today we are going to untangle this incredibly confusing local conflict, which, by the way, is just packed with heavily disputed numbers and conflicting narratives. And then we're going to zoom all the way out. We're going to reveal how this hyper-specific border issue is actually part of a massive global geopolitical chess match between the United States and China.
To get there, we'll quickly run through the UN report dispute, decode those conflicting refugee numbers, look at the massive migrant worker issue, and then we'll map out the geopolitical chessboard and ASEAN's strategy of balancing.
Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, the UN report dispute and its conflicting narratives. Let's start right at the epicenter of the current tension. We are going to take a totally neutral look at two highly contradictory reports regarding displaced persons at the border. The core of this conflict is pretty wild. On one hand, you have Tom Andrews. He's the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Cambodia. Following a visit to Cambodia in late July, his report cited a massive humanitarian crisis involving internally displaced persons. But then, on the complete flip side, you have the official rebuttal from the Thai military, delivered by their spokesperson Major General Win Tai Suvari. The Thai military firmly rejected the UN's claims. They said the report contains completely distorted information. From their perspective, Thailand absolutely did not start the conflict. Instead, they state they were just forced to respond in self-defense to armed incursions by Cambodia that actually threatened Thai sovereignty and the lives of Thai citizens. So yeah, a really stark clash of perspectives right out of the gate.
Moving on to Section 2, decoding the refugee numbers, where we hit a massive statistical chasm. When we look at how this clash of perspectives actually translates into data, it is mind-blowing. 650,000. That is an enormous figure, and that is the exact number of internally displaced Cambodians claimed by the UN Special Rapporteur's report. According to the UN narrative, we are talking about hundreds of thousands of people fleeing violence to a totally uncertain future. But then, get a load of this number, 4,690. That is the Thai military's official count. Wait, what? Right? They argue that the UN's 650,000 figure actually represents people who just moved to temporary shelters to avoid danger during the active fighting, not permanently displaced refugees. When looking at the number of Cambodian citizens who literally could not return to their original settlements, the Thai military insists the true, verified figure is just 4,690. And to add some really crucial context to their argument, the Thai military points out that the disruption went both ways. Almost 500,000 Thai citizens, nearly 500,000 people, were also forced to evacuate to temporary shelters during the clashes. However, the military notes that following a ceasefire on December 27th, those Thai citizens safely returned to their normal homes. To really hammer their point home, they brought the literal receipts. According to their raw records, these individuals came from three very specific areas before the fighting. Ban Nong Shan, accounting for 500 households and 40 people, Ban Nong Khao with 60 households and 150 people, and Ben Klong Pang with 389 households and 3,500 people. I'm calling out these specifics because it really highlights just how granular the military's rebuttal is when stacked against the UN's much broader figures. Now, there is a much deeper historical layer here from the Thai perspective. The Thai government actually argues that these specific groups of people don't even meet the technical definition of internally displaced persons. Why? Well, because according to Thailand, these are individuals who have been illegally occupying Thai territory for over 40 years, allegedly with the backing of the Cambodian government. The Thai military points out that they have repeatedly tried to use legal and administrative mechanisms, specifically a bilateral agreement you might have heard of known as MOU 43, to resolve this illegal settlement issue peacefully, but they claim they have literally never received cooperation from the Cambodian side. So what the UN is calling a sudden displacement, Thailand is essentially calling a 40-year eviction notice. It just completely flips the narrative on its head. Let's jump to Section 3, the migrant worker issue. Was it forced or was it voluntary? This brings us to another major point of contention, and once again, we're seeing a massive split in the story.
The UN Special Rapporteur flagged a staggering event, the return of 900,000 Cambodian migrant workers from Thailand. The implication in the report raises some really serious humanitarian concerns. However, the Thai military vehemently pushes back on this framing. They insist that the Thai government has always prioritized the care of Cambodian workers. Furthermore, they assert that this mass exit was entirely voluntary. In fact, they say it was prompted directly by an invitation from the Cambodian government itself for its citizens to return home. Thailand is essentially asking the UN to be a neutral auditor of facts from both sides, rather than just presenting a one-sided picture.
All right, Section 4, the geopolitical chessboard and the macro pivot.
So what is the big takeaway here? Why is this happening right now? Why the sudden intensity over these border statistics and worker migrations? Well, analysts from Nikkei Asia and the geopolitical page Kakao looked at this local friction and saw a distinct global pattern. They sum it up perfectly with this quote: "Middle powers don't have to choose superpowers, but must make superpowers compete for them." Boom, that is exactly it. What we are witnessing at the Thai-Cambodian border isn't just about the border. It's actually a symptom of a much, much larger struggle for influence in Southeast Asia between the United States and China.
Let's break down these superpower dynamics for a second, because they are absolutely fascinating. Both Thailand and Cambodia have previously leaned toward China during times of crisis. But right now, both are hitting some major limitations with that strategy. Just look at Thailand, historically a major non-NATO ally of the US. But recent US pressures, specifically tariffs and America First policies, have actively pushed Thailand to seek closer diplomatic and economic ties with Beijing. Then you look at Cambodia, which is traditionally very pro-China. Phnom Penh is having a bit of an awakening. They are realizing that China has competing interests. Frankly, China is not going to fully alienate Thailand, which is a much larger economy with way more purchasing power, just to blindly support Cambodia in a localized dispute. So what's the incredible result of all this? Despite being on opposite sides of a border conflict, both nations are essentially making the exact same geopolitical move. They are both subtly signaling to Western nations, specifically the US, that they want them back in the region to balance out China's massive influence.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, the strategy of balancing, or ASEAN's playbook. This strategy we're talking about, it is essentially the survival playbook for mid-sized nations in the ASEAN region operating in a world utterly dominated by superpower rivalry. The winning move for countries like Thailand isn't choosing America or choosing China. The playbook really just has 3 steps. First, avoid rushing to pick a side. Second, maintain open diplomatic dialogue with all players. And third, and definitely most importantly, protect your own strategic space. In an era of intense US-China competition, the most advantaged country isn't a pawn for either side. It's the country that maintains its balance so effectively that both superpowers constantly have to compete to court them. Which leaves us with this final, vital question. As Thailand and Cambodia both make moves to pull the US back into the region to balance China, what is the ultimate result going to be? Will drawing the US back into the game ease these local border tensions? Or will it accidentally invite a massive superpower conflict right into ASEAN's backyard? It's a high-stakes chess match, and for sure, the next few moves will be critical. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on the data, keep questioning those narratives, and I'll see you next time as we break down the next big issue.